Hey there guys, Raj here. This is a Scents of the Week video. This is where I'm going to show you all of the fragrances I have been wearing this week. I've done a few videos like this before, so if you want to go and check out some I've done in the past, click on playlists and then click on Scents of the Week and you'll be able to see all the other ones that I've done before. So in this one I've got a mixture of samples, got some decants, a couple of full-size bottles. And this week, I've been here in the UK, I've been at work, it's been very, very hot. We're having some crazy, unpredictable or unexpected weather. For the last few weeks, it's been really warm, very humid as well. So it's been interesting wearing these types of fragrances and seeing how they perform. And yeah, there's some really good ones in here. All the names of the fragrances are down below, including along with a timeline as well. So let's get into the first one. This is a sample. This is from the brand Atelier Cologne. So I've got this sample here. Picked up this particular sample from the website Aus Liebe zum Duft, or First in Fragrance. So this one, Poivre Electrique, which I'm presuming means electric pepper. It is actually quite a simple fragrance, but I feel like Atelier do these types of fragrances really, really well. It is a very, very nice, smooth black pepper accord. There's a little bit of incense in there as well. It is fairly, very simple, a little bit spicy, maybe a little bit of cedarwood in there as well. I don't know the note breakdown, but this was really excellent. It's not a fragrance that maybe you would think about wearing in warmer weather, but because it's quite smooth and the spices aren't too sharp, it actually jumped off my skin really nicely when the weather when the weather was warm. I feel like it's a very masculine fragrance as well. Reminds me a little bit of Marc Jacobs Bang. I wouldn't say it's necessarily better than it, but maybe I need to go back to the Marc Jacobs one. But I really like this fragrance. I thought it was it worked really well, and I wore it to work. Going on to fragrance number 2. This is a favorite of mine. I haven't never actually owned a full bottle. It's one of those where I always have gone for the decant. This is actually my second decant from the brand Creed, and this one is Jardin d'Amalfi. I am coming towards the end of this. This will probably be done by the end of the summer. And Jardin d'Amalfi is freshness in a bottle. It means the Amalfi Garden, which is a coastline in Italy, a place where I'm planning on going to in September actually. So this one, sharp, a little bit sharp, very zingy, very fresh, lots of neroli and bergamot. There's some clean white musks in here. It's a formula that's been done to death actually. You'll find fragrances like this everywhere, but this one, it's almost minty, it's very green. This is up there in terms of the best freshy fragrances that exist. This one is up there with Xerjoff's 1861 Renaissance. These two are the two best fresh fragrances in the world. Well, that's what I think anyway. So going on to the third fragrance. So this is Wednesday now. We're going on to Wednesday. And this is a fragrance that is definitely on my to-buy list. I've had this tiny little... It's a 5 ml, but it's like an official sample. It's a miniature bottle, actually. This is from Hermes, and this one is Voyage d'Hermes. It's not really focusing, but... Oh, there you go. Parfum. And what's cool about this is that it's a splash-on bottle, but it's like a miniature thing. So if you've seen the full size, you'll recognize it. It kind of, it looks exactly like this. You just pop the thing off. The actual bottle actually swivels or rotates or something along those lines. This is a great fragrance. I really, really like this. This is without a doubt on my to-buy list. This is, let me just get I believe this is juniper. This is a juniper fragrance. Kind of reminds me of a tonic water mixed in with cucumber. But you've got those juniper berries adding that kind of slightly spicy, slightly fruity almost element to the fragrance. It's pretty simple, there isn't a huge amount going on in this fragrance, but it is very, very classy. It's a fragrance that lasted a long time on my skin. It is one that even though it's quite linear, I loved it from start to finish. And there is also an EDT version of this, which is actually pretty similar. I have tried both of them on to do a little comparison. There's not much in it, but I still prefer the EDP version. Voyage d'Hermes, Hermes, they just do great quality fragrances. I always direct people who ask me about fragrances who are not really they're kind of like what I would call the casual consumer. I always say to them, spend a little bit more. You don't have to spend a huge amount, but spend it on brands like Hermes, like Chanel, like Dior, and you're going to get something really good. Okay, so going on to now Thursday. I think Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, going on to Thursday. This is a fairly newer bottle in my collection. I've had it for a few months, coming from the brand of Caron. This one is the Third Man, or Le Troisieme Homme. So this is super appropriate for work, super appropriate for kind of sporty occasions as well. I don't really like using that word sport, but because it doesn't really mean much to me. But if this was to be like a designer fragrance, it would probably have sport in the title. It's a classic, almost barbershop fragrance. There's a bit of lavender in here. There's a little bit of lemon, maybe a bit of lime, maybe. It's a touch herbal. It's very, very green. It's kind of a fragrance that your dad would really, really like. But, I think a youthful person can pull it off as well. Great fragrance. Caron, Parisian-based brand. Very, very sort of cool-looking bottle. They like using a lot of lavender in their fragrances, but it comes across as not old grandmother style, but almost slightly soapy. Really, really nice. Very refreshing. A great fragrance. Okay, so going on to Friday. Now, Friday, again, I was at work, and I don't always like to wear anything that is too sort of out there or too strong. But I went with this fragrance, but did just a couple of applications just on my chest. This is from the brand Phlur, and this one is called Hepcat. So you can see the word Phlur just going all the way around. And this was actually given to me by a friend, and if you're watching, thank you so much for giving this bottle to me, really, and the other ones as well, so I really, really appreciate it. This fragrance is actually really nice. I like this a lot. Kind of reminds me of Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but a kind of drier version. Almost like a mixture between Tom Ford's Oud Wood and Creed's Royal Oud. So you've got the cedarwood elements and the almost smoky elements of Royal Oud by Creed. And then you've got the slightly sweeter elements of Tom Ford's Oud Wood combined together. It smells very, very masculine. The kind of fragrance where you got to have a little bit of confidence, I feel, to wear this one. It feels more appropriate in smarter occasions, and I feel this would go really well if you're wearing like a suit. Definitely worth checking out. And it's not a brand I really know too much about, but definitely now that I've been introduced to Hepcat, got to try out a few more from the brand. Okay, so going on to yesterday, Saturday, and this is a brand from the house, this is Joe Malone from the UK, and this particular one is Oud Bergamot. So I actually had a couple of samples of Oud Bergamot, and just come to the end of this second one. I'm tempted to review it, but I'm also tempted just not to, and just to mention it here, because it's okay. So Oud Bergamot, it's a really nice fragrance. I definitely like it. But I don't pick up on any oud or any bergamot as well. It's kind of weird. It's a little bit sweet. It's a little bit syrupy. There is a freshness in there. It doesn't really smell of citrus to me, but there is a fresh element kind of hiding there. It smells very, very synthetic, but in a nice way. I like that about it. There's no real refinement to this fragrance. I feel like with maybe better quality ingredients, it could have been really more lifelike. But I think it's very accessible at the same time. I think the normal person on the street would spray this on and think, oh, this is what oud smells like. It's kind of like an introduction to oud, even though it doesn't really smell anything like the real thing, which is, not a big deal. But I really like the fragrance, actually. It doesn't last a huge amount of time on my skin, but this sweet, woody aroma chemicals coming off my skin, I quite liked it. It's quite a basic fragrance, but I enjoyed the two samples that I had. And would I buy a full bottle? Maybe if it lasted a little bit longer and I got a deal, but it's not one of those that are top of my to buy list. Okay, going on to, so today being Sunday, just being a chilled out day for me, didn't really do anything. I think the highlight of my day was like going to Sainsbury's or something, you know, going to a shop, supermarket basically. So this was just a fragrance that I've been trying, which is new. So when I'm on days like this, when I'm not really seeing anybody, I'm not at work, I'm not around a bunch of people, I like to test fragrances where I'm not 100% sure how they would be perceived by other people. Like, even though I don't really care about what other people think about what I wear, I don't want to offend people at the same time. And this one I wasn't too sure about. Actually, this is a really good fragrance. I don't know why I had those thoughts. This one, I've got a sample from the brand Parfums Nicolai, and this one is called Cuir Cuba Intense, which means Cuban leather. It actually comes in this, it's a pretty good sample actually, like presentation wise. It comes like this, and it's got a bit of description bit on the back. It was a miracle how I managed to get this sample actually, because there's a shop here in the UK called, I say shop, it's a very, very old, prestigious, historic department store called Fortnum & Mason, and like, you stand a better chance of winning the lottery than getting a sample from this shop, even when you buy stuff. And I didn't even buy anything, and the guy just gave me this, maybe because the brand was new there and he was trying to like promote it, but definitely appreciate it. This one, you know, it has the note breakdown. It's got notes of like anise, it's got notes of like geranium and tobacco leaf and patchouli, sage, supposed to be, so it evokes the scent of the dry tobacco leaf, taking you towards the heart of a cigar box. Now, if you guys know, I am a cigar smoker myself. This doesn't actually smell anything like a cigar box, but yeah, I do actually get that feeling of tobacco leaves being dried in a barn, like curing or fermenting basically, but it's not as lifelike as that. And if any of you have actually been to a tobacco barn, maybe in Cuba or like Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, that scent is quite overpowering. This one doesn't go on that level. It has this like anise note, which kind of reminds me of, which is almost slightly medicinal. It's an interesting fragrance. I don't know if I love it. I definitely like it, but we'll get to the end of the sample and maybe do a review. So there you go. That's my week in fragrances. Over to you guys now. Very, very keen to hear what you guys have been wearing this week. Is it something new? Have you been going back to your full-size bottles? Are you testing new things? Or, you know, anything, let me know what you've been wearing, or let me know like what your scent of the day is or whatever, something like that. So yeah, thanks for watching guys. Check out my Instagram page. Feel free to hit the like button here and subscribe if you like what you see. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.